Hi, fourth grade. Today we are going to do our last still life drawing for this unit. You've done a great job on your practice still lifes and your blind contour drawings. And so for this week, I would like you to find your last collection of objects, maybe something different than you've done before. Keep it simple, 1 to 3 objects, and we're gonna work on drawing them really realistically, and we're gonna add some color this time. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my still life set up, and I'll show you what I'm making. All right, guys, I've got my still life set up. I've chosen 2 objects. I've chosen objects that are kind of different textures, different shapes, different sizes. So I've got my succulent plant and I've got a little pumpkin decoration. This time I've also set it up on a piece of fabric. So I found some pink felt in the art room that I used as a backdrop for my still life. There are many examples throughout history of artists using fabric as a backdrop for their still life. So I've taken a little inspiration from those artists. I'll post a couple pictures on our lesson page so you can see some examples of that. But for right now, I'm going to jump in and start drawing my still life. One thing to keep in mind as you're drawing today is to make sure that you're drawing what you see and not what you know. We talked about this before, and basically all that means is that you are drawing the objects as you see them. And sometimes that means leaving out details that are hiding behind or are covered by other objects. So I know that the shape of the flower pot is a cylinder, but I won't be able to see the whole thing because the pumpkin is covering a little bit of that. So when Mrs. A is looking at your drawings when you turn them in, I'm going to be looking for overlapping. I'm going to be looking for objects to look 3D and detailed. So make sure you're paying attention to the objects in front of you. And now let's get started drawing. Before you start drawing, take a few minutes and just study your still life. Find the object shapes, determine how big they should be, and if anything is overlapping or what details you're going to need to draw. When you begin to draw lightly first. So press lightly with your pencil, even doing a little bit of feather sketching, which is what I'm doing now, drawing little lines that connect to make a bigger shape. And start with the basic shapes of your object. I'm starting with the oval shape of my pumpkin, and then I'll start with the cylinder shape of my flower pot. Now, don't forget, it's totally okay to go back and erase. Even art teachers make mistakes when they're drawing. So I made my flower pot a little too far to the left, so I'm just gonna redraw it a little farther over to the right and correct that mistake. All right, I'm gonna speed up my video now so you can see me finish drawing. As you're working today, just take your time, be patient, work lightly first with your pencil, and as you start to put your shapes and your objects into your drawing, you can start to darken your lines when you really are happy with where they are in your picture. I can't wait to see how your drawing turns out. I'll come back and show you how I add color in a little bit. All right, boys and girls, now I'm gonna add some color to my final still life drawing. I'm choosing to use watercolor paints to color mine in, but you may use whatever coloring supplies you have. You could also use markers and paint over them with water, and you could get the same kind of effect as watercolor paints using just regular old Crayola or Mr. Sketch markers. I'm gonna speed up the remainder of this video, but what I want you to pay attention to is how Mrs. A starts to look at shading and shadows as part of my still life. So as you can see, there are some shadows in the fabric around my pumpkin, and there are some shadows on the left side of my succulent pot. And so when I'm painting or coloring, I'm gonna look for those shadows and try to color those areas a little bit darker, which will help my project look more realistic and more 3D. All right, I will see you when I'm done painting, and I can't wait to see your drawings. All right, so that is our last still life drawing for a while. We may come around to something like a still life again later this year, but you've done a great job on this unit. I can't wait to see your final still lifes. Hopefully you've added color this time, and I will see you next week with a new lesson. Bye guys.